Durag Wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, and welcoming you to Y2K 20.06.10 with just 146 days left until we decide on our election, which I hope that the Trumpists don't take away from us with their Supreme Court. Fake Senate impeachment trial. No vindication, no adjudication, no exoneration. Repeat, we have a criminal, creep, sociopath in our White House and we have to get him out. For your information, we have to organize to vote fascism out. More of that another time. 2, law and order means the rule of law. Trump uses doublethink in order to pervert the very meaning of this concept, as well as many right-wingers. Law and order, we always attribute it to the right. Trump is the most corrupt president in our history and most un-American. He is not law and order in any way or means. He has never respected the law. He uses doublethink. The music in the background is by one of my old favorites, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, from their album Incredible. The responsible cities, the responsible states, those controlled by conscientious professionals will be able to open as they are doing now. But don't think you are going back to normal, ladies and gentlemen and friends. When you enter the new world, be reminded of those cautionary tales, such as movies like Soylent Green, and get ready for an inconvenient reality. Fact, there is no vaccine. Therefore, if we are going back out, an infrastructure of protection has to be in place. This is going to require our full patience and cooperation. In general, folks, personally I believe that opening indoor activities, shows and the like, even schools, may be unwise. In fact, any place that you have people congregating indoors is extremely unwise. Here's a problem for mathematicians and medical experts. If we are going to use indoor spaces for groups of people, including schools, theaters, movie theaters, subway trains, and conventions, what is a ratio that allows people to be safe? The ratio of the size of the building to the amount of people within. When does the amount of people within become unsafe? And how do you develop an equation that tells you? If a movie theater houses 500 patrons, how many of them do you subtract so that the remaining patrons are safe? How many children should be allowed in each classroom? Certainly not 30 plus as it was when I was teaching. What will it require in opening schools, for example? This is going to require, and I used to be a teacher, this is going to require smaller classes and more teachers. There should not be more than 10 children in a room, if that. Rooms will have to be well ventilated in all seasons because schools will have to be open for the entire year. Not all of these classrooms are well ventilated. Each seating area will have to be partitioned with acrylic or the like. Barriers to create carols, if you will, for each student. Masks and hand sanitizer will have to be readily available at all times. And remember those metal detectors for weapons? And now everyone who enters a school building will have to have their temperature checked each day. Schools have to be open all year, something I really would have hated, with split sessions so that no child has to stay at home or have an off day. Nevertheless, every household in our country, no matter how large, how small, how rich, how poor, must have broadband availability, just in case there is an outbreak and we have to close again. Additionally, computers must now also be available to every child, parent thereof, in our nation. More about that another time. And of course, this will require more money, many more school buildings, and more teachers, many of whom will have the opportunity to work in the summer if they have to for more pay. Eating in a restaurant, going to shows, attending movie theaters, going to sport events, which by the way, sporting events, baseball, football, outdoor. Still many people close together. And note, each indoor venue will need state-of-the-art ventilation. State-of-the-art ventilation. Move that air around as if you're outside. And even then, restaurants will need to limit their seating depending on their size. They will have to install, once again, these acrylic barriers, clear, whatever, at tables and at the bar. Every sit-down restaurant, no matter how crummy, is going to have reservations. All staff will have to wear masks, and the patrons will have to wear them until they are seated in their protected area. Each seating area will have to be disinfected after each use. No more menus that everybody's handled. Will people want to eat in the disinfected ambiance? I would probably gag. Will restaurant businesses have an epic extinction? Sports events, whether inside or out, will have to limit attendance. Care must be taken so the professional athletes who fans come to root for are not exposed to the virus. Of course, we don't want the fans to be exposed either, of course. Maybe each sporting event should be shortened for now. 7 innings instead of 9. 2 periods instead of 4. Got to adapt and survive. All attending must get their temperatures taken before being allowed to enter. Note, this means the fans must show up earlier to avoid jam-ups. Of course, everything that I've been mentioning, we all have to wear masks. The schools, the movie theaters. We're going to all have to wear masks in public. The Watchmen would really appreciate that. Movie theaters and shows. We're going to miss Steve Colbert and his audience, Bill Maher and his audience. The best I can say about movie theaters and shows is they are mostly inside venues with iffy ventilation that depends on the building housing them. If you've ever been to a Broadway show, they jam you together with respect to sardines. I personally am uncomfortable being treated as if I was cattle. Movie theaters will have to have more show times with less patrons for each screening. Multiplexes will have to run popular movies on more of their screens. Temperature checks and face masks once again are required before entry to the theater or any venue or school. I keep repeating. It's my age. But if you want to be safe, bring back the drive-in theater and consider, weather permitting, putting on outside shows. In New York, we have Central Park. And other parks and places. If you insist on having inside attendance to movies, to shows, and to religious services, you're going to need temperature checks, split services, show times, or whatever, using, of course, for seating, using acrylic shields to create barriers between attendees. Very inconvenient, right? The human species has had the most profound effect on our planet and her ecosystems. Viruses have taken full advantage of our need to spread forth and take over. The smallpox virus developed in part because humans went from being nomadic to sedentary, allowing it to grow with our trash-creating density. This novel CV-19 has come to us in part because we feel the need to eat animals that we shouldn't. Now, Mother Earth is spanking us. So while we are sitting in the corner, we should reflect on all those goddess-damned inconveniences we brought upon ourselves, so that maybe we will stop killing ourselves, our species, and our planet.